Section 99 of Reviews by Oscar Wilde. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Cori Samuel. Reviews by Oscar Wilde, edited by Robert Ross. Section 99. Index of Authors and Books Reviewed. Aitchison, James, The Chronicle of Mites. Anonymous, An Author's Love, Annals of the Life of Shakespeare, Miss Bayle's Romance, Rachel, Sturm and Drang, The Cross and the Grail, The Judgment of the City, Warring Angels. Armstrong, George Francis, Stories of Wicklow. Arnold, Sir Edwin, with Sardee in the Garden. Ashby Sterry, J., The Lazy Minstrel. Austin, Alfred, Days of the Year, Love's Widowhood. Author of Flitters, Tatters and the Counsellor, Ismay's Children. Author of Lucy, Tiff. Author of Mademoiselle Marie, A Child of the Revolution, Under a Cloud. Author of The White Africans, Ioniel. Balzac, Honore des, César Birotteau, The Duchess of Langeais and Other Stories. Barker, John Thomas, The Pilgrimage of Memory. Barr, Amelia, A Daughter of Fife. Barrett, Frank, The Great Hesper. Borch, Emile, A Statesman's Love. Bayliss, Wick, The Enchanted Island. Beaufort, Raphael Ledoster, Letters of George Sand. Bellairs, Lady, Gossips with Girls and Maidens. Blunt, Wilfrid Scarwen, Inviculis. Boissier, Gaston, Nouvelle Promenade Archéologique. Bowen, Sir Charles, Virgil in English Verse, Eclogues and Enid, 1-6. Bowling, E. W., Sagittuli. Brodie, E. H., Lyrics of the Sea. Broughton, Rhoda, Betty's Visions. Brown, Phyllis, Mrs. Somerville and Mary Carpenter. Buchan, Alexander, Joseph and His Brethren. Buchanan, Robert, That Winter Night. Burns, Dawson, Oliver Cromwell. Kane, Hall, Life of Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Cairns, William, A Day After the Pair. Caldecott, Randolph, Gleanings from the Graphic. Cameron, Mrs. Henry Lovett, A Life's Mistake. Carnarvon, Earl of, The Odyssey of Homer, Books 1-12. Carpenter, Edward, Chants of Labour. Catty, Charles, Poems in the Modern Spirit. Cesaresco, Countess Evelyn Martinengo, Essays in the Study of Folk Songs. Chapman, Elizabeth Rachel, The New Purgatory. Chetwynd, Honourable Mrs. Henry, Mrs. Dorriman. Christian, Her Royal Highness Princess, Memoirs of Wilhelmine, Margravine of Bayreuth. Cockle, J., Gilt, Mullner. Cole, Alan, Embroidery and Lace, Ernest Lefebvre. Coleridge, Honourable Stephen, Demetrius. Collier, Honourable John, A Manual of Oil Painting. Colvin, Sidney, Keats. Conway, Hugh, A Cardinal Sin. Cooper, Elise, The Queen's Innocent. Corcoran, Alice, Marjorie Morton's Girlhood, Meg's Friend. Crack, Mrs. Poems. Crane, Walter, Flora's Feast. Crawford, John Martin, The Kalevala, The Epic Poem of Finland. Cumberland, Stuart, The Vasty Deep. Curtis, Ella, A Game of Chance. Curzon, G. Delamere. Dalziel, George. Pictures in the Fire. Davis, Cora M. Immortelle. Day, Richard. Poems. Denman, Honourable G. The Story of the Kings of Rome in Verse. Denning, John Renton. Poems and Songs. Dilke, Lady. Art in the Modern State. Dixon, Constance E. The Chimney-piece of Bruges. Dobell, Mrs. Horace. In the Watches of the Night. Doudney, Sarah. Under False Colours. Doveton, F. B. Sketches in Prose and Verse. Duffy, Bella. Life of Madame de Staël. Durant, Heloise. Dante, a Dramatic Poem. Dyer, Reverend A. Saunders. The Poems of Madame de Montcuillon. Edmonds, E. M. Greek Lays, Idylls, Legends, etc. Mary Miles. Evans, W. Caesar Borgia. Evelyn, John. Life of Mrs. Godolphin. Fane, Violet. Helen Davenant. Fenn, George Manville. A Bag of Diamonds. The Master of the Ceremonies. Field, Michael. Canute the Great. Fitzgerald, Caroline. Venetia Victrix. Foskett, Edward. Poems. Foster, David Scatts. Rebecca the Witch. 4 authors. Primavera. Froude, J. A. The Two Chiefs of Dunboy. Furlong, Atherton. Echoes of Memory. Gallenga, A. Jenny Jennet. Gibberne, Agnes. Ralph Hardcastle's Will. Giles, Herbert A. Shuang Tzu. Glenessa, The Discovery. Goodchild, John A. Somnia Medici, 2nd Series. Gordon, Adam Lindsay. Poems. Grant, John Cameron. Vanclin. Graves, A. P. Father O'Flynn and Other Irish Lyrics. Griffin, Edward Ellis. Vortigern and Rowena. Griffiths, William. Sonnets and Other Poems. Hamilton, Ian. The Ballad of Hardgie. Harding, W. M. The Willow Garth. Hardy, A. J. How to be Happy, Though Married. Harrison, Clifford. In Hours of Leisure. Hart, Brett. Cressy. Hayes, Alfred. David Westren. Heartsease. God's Garden. Henley, William Ernest. A Book of Verses. Hayward, J. C. Salome. Hole, W. G. Procris. Hopkins, Ty. Twixt Love and Duty. Houston, Mrs. A Heart on Fire. Hunt, Mrs. Alfred. That Other Person. Irwin, H. C. Rhymes and Renderings. Keane, H. E. Verses, Translated and Original. Kelly, James. Poems. K. E. V. The Circle of Saints. The Circle of Seasons. Kingsford, Dr. Anna. Dreams and Dream Stories. Knight, Joseph. Life of Dante Gabriel Rossetti. Knight, William. Wordsworthiana. Lefan, Mrs. de Courcy. A Song of Jubilee. Langridge, Reverend Frederick. Poor Folks' Lives. Lauder, Sir Thomas. The Wolf of Badenoch. Lee, Margaret. Faithful and Unfaithful. Le Gallienne, Richard. Volumes in folio. Levy, Amy. The Romance of a Shop. Lindsay, Lady. Caroline. Linton, W. J. Poems and Translations. Lloyd, J. Sale, Scamp. Lyle, Edna, In the Golden Days. McEwen, Constance, Soap. Mack, Robert Elise, Treasures of Art and Song. Mackenzie, George, Highland Dreams. McCoyd, Catherine S., Louisa. Mahaffey, J. P., Greek Life and Thought, The Principles of the Art of Conversation. Martin, Francis, Life of Elizabeth Gilbert. Marzials, Frank T., Life of Charles Dickens. Masson, Gustave, George Sand, Elmé Caro. Matthews, Brander, Pen and Ink. McKim, Joseph, Poems. Molesworth, Mrs., A Christmas Posy, the third Miss St. Quentin. Montgomery, Florence, The Fisherman's Daughter. Marine, George, Poems. Morris, William, A Tale of the House of the Wolflings, The Odyssey of Homer done into English verse. Moulton, Louise Chandler, Ourselves and Our Neighbours. Mulholland, Rosa, Gianetta, Marcella Grace. Munster, Lady, Dorinda. Naden, Constance, A Modern Apostle. Nash, Charles, The Story of the Cross. Nesbit, E., Lays and Legends, Leaves of Life. Noel, Honourable Roden, Essays on Poetry and Poets. Noel, Lady Augusta, Hitherseer Mere. Oliphant, Mrs., Makers of Venice. Oliver, Penn, All But. Ouida, Gilderoy. Owen, Evelyn, Driven Home. Oxoniensis, Juvenal in Piccadilly. Pater, Walter, Appreciations with an Essay on Style, Imaginary Portraits. Peacock, Thomas Bower, Poems of the Plain and Songs of the Solitudes. Perks, Mrs. J. Hartley, From Heather Hills. Pfeiffer, Emily, Women and Work. Phillimore, Miss, Studies in Italian Literature. Pierce, J., Stanzas and Sonnets. Pimlico, Lord, The Excellent Mystery. Pleydell Bouverie, Edward Oliver, J.S. or Trivialities. Preston, Harriet Waters, A Year in Eden. Prevost, Francis, Fires of Green Wood. Quilter, Harry, Sententiae Artis. Rafalovich, Marc André, Tuberose and Meadowsweet. Ristori, Madame, Études et Souvenirs. Ritchie, David, Darwinism and Politics. Robertson, Eric S., Life of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, The Children of the Poets. Robertson, J. Logie, Poems by Alan Ramsay. Robbins, G. M., Keep My Secret. Robinson, A. Mary F., Poems, Ballads and a Garden Play. Robinson, Mabel, The Plan of Campaign. Rodd, Rennell, The Unknown Madonna. Ross, James, Seymour's Inheritance, The Wind and Six Sonnets. Ross, Janet, 3 Generations of English Women. Rossetti, William Michael, Life of John Keats. Rouet, Princess Emily, Memoirs of an Arabian Princess. Safford, Mary J., Aphrodite, Ernst Eckstein. Saintsbury, George, George Borrow. Sarasvati, Pandita Ramabai, The High-Caste Hindu Woman. Schwartz, J. M. W., Nivalis. Sharp, Isaac, Saul of Tarsus. Sharp, Mrs. William, Women's Voices. Sharp, William. Romantic Ballads and Poems of Fantasy. Sheridan, Richard Brinsley. Here's to the Maiden of Bashful 15. Shaw, Arabella. Dante for Beginners. Skipsey, Joseph. Carols from the Coalfields. Sladen, Douglas B. W. Australian Poets, 1788 to 1888. Smith, Alexander Skene. Holiday Recreations. Somerset, Lord Henry. Songs of Adieu. Spate, T. W. A Barren Title. Stapfer, Paul. Molière et Shakespeare. Stillman, W. J. On the Track of Ulysses. Stokes, Margaret. Early Christian Art in Ireland. Streets, Fawcett. A Marked Man. Stutfield, Hugh. El Maghreb. 1200 miles ride through Morocco. Swinburne, Algernon Charles. Poems and Ballads, 3rd Series. Symonds, John Addington. Ben Jonson. Renaissance in Italy, the Catholic Reaction. Thornton, Cyrus. Voices of the Street. Todhunter, John. The Banshee. Thomson, Graham R. The Bird Bride. Toynbee, William. A selection from the songs of de Beranger in English verse. Turner, C. Gladstone. Errata. Two Tramps. Low Down. Tyler, Louis. Chess, A Christmas Masque. Tyrrell, Christina. Her Son. E. Werner. Vetch, John. The Feeling for Nature in Scottish Poetry. Vetch, Sophie. James Hepburn. Von Lauer, Baroness. The Master of Tanagra. Ernst von Wildenbruch. Walford, Mrs. 4 biographies from Blackwood. Walworth, Reverend Clarence A. Andiatorochte. Wanderer. Dinners and Dishes. Wishaw, Frederick. Injury and Insult. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Whitman, Walt. November Boughs. Williams, F. Harold. Women Must Weep. Williamson, David R. Poems of Nature and Life. Willis, E. Cooper. Tales and Legends in Verse. Wills, W. G. Melchior. Wilmot, A. The Poetry of South Africa. Winter, John Strange. That Imp. Woods, Margaret L. A Village Tragedy. Wotton, Mabel. Word Portraits of Famous Writers. Yeats, W. B. Fairy and Folk Tales of the Irish Peasantry. The Wanderings of Oisin. Yonge, Charlotte M. and others. Astray. End of section 99. Index of authors and books reviewed. End of reviews by Oscar Wilde. Edited by Robert Ross.